Thank you for taking the time to watch this episode of Life Support. If you enjoy the content, we would ask that you like it, hit subscribe, and share it with your friends. Hey, welcome to Life Support. I'm so glad you're with us today. On this program, we tell stories. We love to talk about how Christ helps people redeem their lives and that whole transformation process that God has going. And we have a great story like that today. Sondra deWerd is here. She was with us last time as well, telling her story. Thank you for being back.
Yes, you're welcome.
Appreciate it so much. And basically, your story is one of one-time drinking episode. You got in your car, had a head-on collision. Some people died, etc. I'll let you tell the whole extent of it. But you ended up at Shakopee in prison, and God was working that entire time. Now, I wanted to ask you, so my wife and I have had opportunities to speak in prisons. Our son was the victim of a homicide, and so we've had opportunities to speak to those who are incarcerated that are really concerned about their victims or trying to get that part of the whole equation dealt with, and they don't know how. They're not sure how to process all of that, which I understand. But tell me how you process that part of it. Now, I know you told me that the first part was kind of like hazy and your brain was bleeding and all that, but and maybe you can just retell the story real quickly too, because I probably told it wrong. But and then tell me how you process that part of it.
Yeah, you told it quite right, honestly. So I was in Shakopee for 4 years, drinking and driving. 2 people died. You're pretty on point. One was severely injured. So as far as the victims, I did not have any contact the entire time that I was in Shakopee. They did have some letter writing programs you could do, and then they would put them in like a bank somewhere. I don't know. So I don't know if this is every scenario or if it was just my scenario, but I was not by law allowed to contact my victims' families because that would interrupt their healing process, and I already did enough damage. So ironically, when I got out, I had spoken at the Rosemount High School for their prom mock car crash thing.
Yeah.
And while I was speaking, apparently there was a sergeant there from the Minneapolis Police Department who had lost her daughter to drinking and driving. And I didn't know that at the time, but she had reached out to me a week after I had spoken at Rosemount. And she asked if I wanted to speak on the dangers of drunk driving for the 4th of July. And she would come to my house and they would record this whole segment. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Well, when the camera shut off, that's when she told me, she's like, my daughter was killed by a drunk driver, and until now I have not humanized the person who killed my child until I met you. And so that was great. But so then she posted that on the Minneapolis site. I don't know if that's like a Facebook site or how that works, but long story short, some guy reached out to me on Instagram. And he was like, you aren't remorseful. I can't believe you made that video. You know, of course, there's lots of hate that comes along with this when you get out, and that's fine. Yeah. And he said, you are not remorseful because you never reached out to any of your victims' families while you were incarcerated. And all I said was, if you want to contact Victim Impact Services, then they will explain everything to you. Because if it came from me, it wouldn't probably mean anything.
Correct. Yeah. Not understanding the system.
Right. And then within, honestly, moments, the mother of the other driver reached out to me. And she said, I am so sorry. I had no idea that you could not reach out.
So this whole time they were living with this idea.
Yes.
And nobody told them.
Nobody told them.
Wow.
Because they could have come to visit me. They could have, but they had to make the move. I couldn't write to them and bother them.
That's right. That was like for us. We had to initiate everything.
Yep.
And we were glad to do that. But yeah, so that's too bad that they lived under that false assumption that whole time.
It is. So I'm glad I was honestly only in 4 years, that they only had to live for 4 of those years like that, because now, I mean, I cut their hair. We are.
Is that right, huh?
Oh yeah, so it's a mom, a sister, and the dad. And there was obviously the boy, you know. But so the older brother died, and then the younger sister is still around. Well, she now has a child that's close to my son's age, and I mean, they get together and play, and I couldn't have had a better outcome with all of that. They tell me they love me. It took
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it took the dad a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I honestly still, I do have to say this is part of my healing. I don't really feel that deserving of them to tell me they love me and to, you know what I mean? There's it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
But it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
Because I would hope that I could be the same way if this happened to my child, but I genuinely don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think I would be mean, but I don't know if I'd want to be best friends.
But you have the Holy Spirit, so God would get you there. And, you know, for us, it's been 12 years now.
Okay.
And it's still I mean, I was able to meet the man the night he was arrested. And because they did the whole thing where, you know, if he's not talking to us, we need you to come over and, you know, beg him to talk because he'll feel bad and all this stuff. But so immediately my words to him were, we're going to work on forgiving you, because I didn't feel like I could just offer that as a casual, like, yeah, you're all forgiven, because there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But he experienced some of those same feelings. Now, it was a little bit different because he wasn't a believer. We were. We had a agenda. We wanted to share the gospel with him, and the way to do that would be to have relationship with him. The victim's services person happened to be a former pastor, so they understood what we were trying to do. But he had a real hard time receiving that because he kept saying, I don't understand why you're doing this. And what we could say to him is, well, you know, we're Christ followers. We're working on forgiving you. I remember we had to do a press conference, and so we were driving home, and the subject on the talk radio was, would you forgive the shooter of your son? So it was like, I went, Lord, you're spreading this all over the city. Like, you're taking this and you're using it for your glory all over the place. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. It's hard to receive that. And then it's work to forgive. You have to keep forgiving. Like, I understand, you know, some days I'm totally okay and I'm, you know, like super forgiving and super like champion Christian. And then other days it's kind of like, oh man, like, can't believe, why did he do that? Like, yeah, you know, and he only got 9 years and he should have got more. And so I understand how you could feel that way, but it's pretty amazing that family has just been willing to move into your life like that.
Yeah.
That's a real gift.
And they are believers.
Yeah.
And I believe, this is a little foggy, but I thought I saw on one of the like news stations, you know, when they're like interviewing after court or whatever.
Right.
I believe they said right at the court hearing that they forgave me.
Yeah.
And probably kind of more like what you...
This is exactly what we did. We crafted the whole thing to let people know we're Christians, we follow Christ, and this is why. Mm-hmm. And they all looked at us like we were like crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember before we went down and did the press conference, we were talking to the sergeant in charge of media relations. So my wife, she was a really nice lady, but it's a rough, you know, law enforcement's a rough job. So my wife said, well, can we pray with you before we go downstairs? And she said, fine. And so she's getting all teary-eyed, and we're praying for her. And then during the press conference, she's talking about it, and she starts to break down and starts to cry. Now, the media is very like, okay, you know, hey, Jennifer, like, we've never seen you cry before. Like, did you know this kid? Like, do you have some kind of personal connection? And she basically, you know, kind of composed herself and said, no, this is just it's a good family, you know, he was a good boy in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing. But what I saw happening is Jesus was everywhere, and he was melting hearts. Like in the courtroom, the judge was, you know, during our victim impact statements, the judge was wiping tears. The defense guy was over there trying to, you know, like Jesus was everywhere. And so even in the midst of these really horrible incidents and tragedies, God is ever present. and he's immediately turning it for good.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're willing to move into your life, and the fact that they're willing to show that kind of love for you is a real gift from God, and it really says a lot about them. And the fact that you can receive it is also pretty neat, because I can only imagine your thought process as well. Tell me a little bit about, now that you've got a little bit of distance now, and you're giving back, you're helping others, and you're speaking at places. Tell me a little bit about when you look back at that period of your life. Like, what do you think about? Like, is it I know part of it you can't remember, which I think is actually, I wouldn't get hypnotized. I'd be really glad.
Yeah,
but I can't
that's
remember.
what my parents say.
It's
They're like, you're
yeah,
nuts.
no, don't do that. Just be glad.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look back and you go, like, all I've been through in the past years here, like, what kind of thoughts do you have? Like, what do you mull over?
Oh, I am so happy. I feel I'm a better mom. I'm a better girlfriend. I'm a better daughter. I don't know who I would be if I didn't have all of this happen to me. I feel like I'm authentic. The world is pretty phony, and I just kind of, I don't feel like I'm afraid. I don't walk around. My mom always asked, she's like, aren't you afraid to go back to Rochester? And, after that's where this crime happened and all these people. And I'm like, I just feel like I'm living the right way. And it's not even about like, oh, I did my time, because everyone would say you didn't do enough time, if you're on the other side of it. But also, I don't even know. There's gratitude everywhere. I would do it over again 100 times. I honestly think everybody should go. It's like, like the whole solitude, and you get to think clearly and find out what makes you tick. What sets me on fire. I would have never found that out.
Yeah, God used that to really reset everything in you. And gave you that time. I mean, just time is such a gift. Like, we don't really take time for anything like that.
No, I think my parents are still struggling. They want to just brush it under the rug, which is how they handle most things.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's just because life goes on. They had to just go back to work. They had to just continue on with life. They couldn't stop, and I don't know. I just feel really bad that they didn't get the time to heal from it, because I know that it's still very, very hard for them. And then on the flip side, I'm very grateful that I got to. I can see the difference. It's a huge difference of healing. I think that it doesn't hurt me anymore, because I, for the most part, have done the work and healed through it.
Well, I think also, like, culture is, if something bad happens, people, they experience it and then they move right on. Like, the news cycle is a day. Like, there can be a bombing somewhere, everybody grieves, and then 2 days later, there's something else, right?
Yep.
So our natural way of doing things is, okay, this is a really bad thing that happened, but we got to go to work. We got to do this. We got to do that. And there's truth in that. But it's also easy to numb ourselves into not having to deal with it as well. And there's kind of a balance you have to strike, because you do have to live your life. And but the thing that amazes me about your story is how God intervened in such a remarkable way, and how you can look back on that and say, well, I see God there, and I have gratitude because of that, and that's pretty cool. So what kind of people do you talk to now? Like, who do you you talk to the ladies in Shakopee, and who else do you have a chance to talk to?
Well, I'm part of Him for Her Ministries at Shugbury, and I mentor one specific woman in Shakopee. Forever waiting for my visiting application to get approved. That takes a while, and it's not because I'm off paper. There's no reason for me not to be approved, but it just takes forever. So I do that, and then honestly, this is I know you'll agree with me, but I am a hairstylist. I have my own shop, and I feel like we always talk about real stuff like this. It's almost like my little space is my area for people to, I don't know how many times people come in, they shut the door, and they just start sobbing about something, and they know that it's safe, and they can be real and talk about it. And
because it's just you and them.
It's just me and them.
Yeah.
and I'm nobody. I mean,
Right.
it's like I'm not part of their
Yeah.
family or
There's
whatever.
no risk, yeah.
No, I say like, that whole what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's
Yeah.
like what happens in the shop stays in the shop. And then they can just move on and feel better about themselves. And everybody knows about my story, so they feel safe if anything happened in their family or extended family. They don't feel ashamed to say anything. And not that everybody comes in with tragedies and shares them with me, but it's just...
but that opens the doorway for them to share their stuff.
Yes.
And they don't have to feel like you don't understand or that it's too much for you to take in or something like that.
And I care. I genuinely care about them, and it's more than just business. It's more than just taking their money and making them look pretty. It's a genuine care for them.
Now, as a mom, as you have one child?
2. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Okay, so as they grow older, is it going to be difficult to kind of? I found it difficult, like for my son, like to let my other children go because I knew the stuff that could happen out there in the real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like there's going to be a tendency to overprotect, or are you able to kind of just guide them along as a normal parent would?
I think I'm pretty normal. I always say I'm a type B mom. I'm not very type A, but also I talk to my kids. I think that's the biggest thing. My parents would say, like, don't drink and drive. But I was someone who needed to know why and explain this to me or what's going to happen. And my kids came out yapping. So they are all about talking. And so I just feel like we have that. I know they're only 6 and 3, but we talk about everything. And I hope that continues. I just want them to know that they can always talk to me. Of course, I have not told them about this incident yet. They're too little, but eventually, of course, I want them to know, and I want them to be like people that come into my shop so they can say, Mom, this happened to me, or I just want to be able to do whatever I can to help them, because of course they're going to go I can't stop everything from happening to them, but I want them
to have to make choices.
I just want them to have a good head on their shoulders, and instead of just telling them not to do something, I want to tell them why.
So many times in the church it's like, just don't do it. Like, don't sleep around, don't drink. And the kids are all going like, all my friends do. So, and then, but if you do sit them down, and if they do listen, and they listen more than they let on, I think. I'm not sure 100%, but you tell them why God planned this, and if you do this, you're circumventing God's best for you. Then they start to understand a little more. Like there's kind of this like path, and then there's a way better path. Which is way better than saying just don't do it. And I think if I had advice for Christian parents, and I am no like champion parent, I'm like the Heck family in the middle or something. Like saying bad parents all the time, but I would say to the parents, please just do what you said. Explain why. Put it in a biblical framework of some kind. Like, okay, this is God's plan for marriage. And if you do this, God's not going to abandon you, but this will be the consequence. And kids react to that. They're pretty smart. Well, your story's amazing, and I am sorry that you have had to go through that, but I'm really thankful that God is using it in your life, and appreciate you sharing all of that with us. And,
you're welcome.
And all that you're doing to help others.